Welcome back. We have a special edition of Fallback today. I am so excited to tell you who is here. The activist and legendary rapper Chuck D. You may know him, of course, from Public Enemy, 5 Grammy nominations, and of course the protest song Fight the Power, which everyone remembers from Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. That group inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2013. Also a special fallback because I'm joined by Dancing Doug and Trixie, 2 pioneering breakdancers who helped establish that genre. They worked with the B-Boy Committee, including Curtis Blow and Chuck D, and they are founding the Universal Hip Hop Museum coming to the Bronx. Thank you for doing this.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. They're wonderful, dignified gentlemen. You know, and hip hop could be grown and up in the room, and that's what we're trying to signify and really make a statement across the world. The Universal Hip Hop Museum coming in 2023, and why not? You know, something has to grow up in hip hop, and these gentlemen are part of who's leading the narrative.
When you look around, who needs to fall back?
Hate. Hate needs to fall back. And so that love can conquer the hate so we can grow.
Dancing Doug, who needs to fall back?
I'm getting a little bit more political. I think I was going back to the GoFundMe thing with the people trying to build the wall. I think they raised like $20 million. And now they realize that they couldn't do it. And like, no more GoFundMe for the crazy stuff. Stop it.
And when you look at people, they're watching TV. Some people are scared.
Yes.
What do you think moves someone to think, yeah, I should give my own money for this wall that the president talked about for years and never built when he controlled Congress with his party?
Well, the thing is, this whole scenario was based on and I don't think it's really ignorance. I think it's fear.
Fear.
They stoke fear. They stoke, and that in turn make people react to things to think, oh my God, they come to take my stuff. All of those people, this caravan, this other van, this Aya van, this whatever van, and all of a sudden it's not there. It's artificial.
Is it fear of a black and brown planet?
Well, the ignorance is running rampant, especially in the United States of America. So, you know, information, education always, broadens the scope, makes you understand that, and that makes less fear. We would like to see funding go into culture as opposed to going up into barricades like a wall and to build on like hate. Hate comes from the ignorance of just not knowing each other. It's a human planet. So the music has brought people together. Governments have split people up. It's about humans and people, and sports brings people together. Right. Music and culture brings people together, and governments like to divide, so they need to fall back.
Why do you think the people in power, people who run governments, have the money, they have the control of force or violence, and yet they are afraid of, as you put it, people in sports taking a knee or people in culture just saying something which is fundamentally peaceful?
I know, control is a human glitch that we probably can't figure out. We don't even figure out what's the glitch in testosterone, because women don't go around starting planetary wars, you know what I'm saying? But culture is a beautiful way to start, because these brothers, they dance, they always got the girls to come to the party. And once the party had the girls, the party was all cool.
All right, so let's talk about dancing tips real quick. What is your tip for people who aren't as good a dancer as you gentlemen are? When you're at the wedding or the bar mitzvah, what's the best thing you can do that's a little dance move, a conservative, if you're not as good as you?
The 2-step head nod.
Let's see it. Okay.
And keep smiling, and I'm smiling, and I'm smiling, and I'm smiling.
So if you're doing that, do you not have to worry? Because I get in trouble with my legs. If you're doing that, do you not have to worry about your legs?
No, you got to tap your feet.
I raise my hand to the I dance, pretty good, but if you're a non-dancer, stay close to the dancers.
Just stay near them.
Stay near them.
Okay.
Especially when the hustle came out back in the day, be close to them, because they got a little circle going around them that's a unique. Yeah, you want to be around that.
The girls in the fallback.
Yeah, exactly.
And what is it about the culture that encourages the motif of the friendly battle? You see that in battle rapping, you see that in the battle dancing. Some people at a distance, they look at that, they say, are you mad at each other? Does somebody have to win? What is it? Explain that.
It beats fighting. You don't have to fight. I mean, come to have a good time. And you don't have to boast. No, get in the circle and let's see what you got. And if you ain't got it, don't get in the circle, because I had the biggest circle. And if you got in that circle, you better be ready. And if you're not, what happened to your feet?
Tricks, I can imagine, man, like if now was back then, could you imagine how many phones would be trying to edge up into that circle?
What?
Yeah.
What? Man, they used to come at me like, come at me. So, yes, it was, instead of fighting, let's dance.
In a word or a sentence, for our viewers, what is hip hop?
Hip hop is the umbrella of language and creativity of the last 50 years going into maybe another 25 to 50 years. It's the terminology. We've always been creative people, but it's the definition of now, and that umbrella is to be maintained, and that's what we plan to do.
Trixie, Dancing Doug, Chuck D, thank you very much for being here. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.